hundreds of thousands of karmas. In a lifetime, we collect trillions of karmas. And if you have gone through hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, Swami says, each one of us must be having mountain loads of karmic consequences accumulated, like the Himalayan mountain range. This accumulated karma is called as Sanchita or accumulated karmas. Very important to remember. The second is called Prarabdha karma. I already told you, Karmana Bandhini Manishaloge, that is, all these karmas we must neutralize before we can achieve liberation. Since we can suffer the consequence of your karma only and only through this human body, we are brought back again and again and again into this world. Each time when we are born, the certain amount of karma which you are maturing at that time is given to you, saying that these are the karmic seeds which you need to deal with in this lifetime. This is what we call as fate or prarabdha karma. Fate, fortune, luck, etc. What you call it as is what is prarabdha karma. If you must have listened to Swami's discourses, many speeches Swami said, when we come into this world, we come empty-handed, except, he said, around your neck there is a garland which is invisible. That invisible garland has got all the codes for all the karmas that you are supposed to suffer in this particular lifetime. This is what we call as prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma is probably one of the worst ones. Why? The seeds have already started sprouting. There is very little that you can do about this. For example, could you choose your parents? Could you choose the family in which you are born? Could you choose your appearance? Could you choose your gender? Could you choose your brothers and sisters? Could you choose the country in which you are born? Could you choose the intellect or intelligence that you have? Could you collect the amount of wealth that you want to do? No. Because these have already sprouted and it is decided for you because of your own past action. The fate is decided by your own actions. As Swami says, you are eating stale food, what you prepared in your previous life. What you are doing now, you are cooking fresh food which you will eat later on. So the prarabdha karma is already sprouted and there is very little that you can do about it. But still, I come to this because we still have a few more years to go through, I suppose. We all will live for some more years. Can we do anything about the prarabdha karma? We will come to that. There are some things which can be done, so we will come to that when we talk about how to tackle karma. I have heard many of my friends will say, I'm sure you have heard this. I wish I was born in a very spiritual family, they'll say. Or they'll say, I wish I was born in a rich family. I was born in this country, that country, those sorts of things. Now listen to this story. Or just an example. One guy, it was a Sunday, he pulls out his chair into the backyard and he is sipping a cup of coffee and reading the newspaper, which Swami says you should not do anyway. Anyway, he was reading the newspaper and he is looking behind and suddenly he saw there's a lemon tree in his backyard, which he himself planted a few years back. And it is in full bloom now. So he gets this mental satisfaction that, look, I planted this tree and it is in full bloom now. And casually he looks at the neighbor's backyard. The neighbors, there's a beautiful apple tree there and the apples are in full bloom. Now this thought comes to his mind, I wish I had apples. Now if you are fond of apples, why would you go and plant a lemon tree? Even in your wildest imaginations, you did not accept that the lemon tree is going to grow apples. This happens only in Parthi. Swami can pluck many things from many trees. Otherwise it does not happen. So if you like apples, you plant an apple tree, at least do it now. But of course you have to wait a few more years, 8 to 10 years it takes for it to come to bloom. So there is another story where Narada had gone down the world and he had gone to Vaikunta. So Vishnu is asking, Narada, what is the news from the world? So Narada is scratching his brain and says, Swami, the greatest surprising thing in this world is everyone wants to enjoy life and be happy. But at the same time, they purposely hurt others and do bad things. How can this happen that you do bad to others and expect good things to come back to you? So, our actions should be appropriate to the things what we need. So, the law basically remains saying that if you give out suffering to others, sooner or later will come back to you. So, this point I will come back again. So, prarabdha karma is in many ways the worst of things. So, prarabdha is what we call as fate, luck, fortune, all these things basically means prarabdha. So we have got sanchita karma, prarabdha karma. Now what is kriyamana karma? Kriyamana is when an action is going on, an ongoing action is called kriyamana. Now I am giving a talk, this is kriyamana. The moment I finish this talk, it has already become a past karma. What happens? That karma will go on to be added on to the accumulated karma, sanchita karma. It's called as agami karma. So when an action is going on, it's called kriyamana. When you finish the karma, it becomes agami and will be added on to the accumulated karmas. A simple example I'll give you, easy to remember way. Suppose you have got a checking account in the bank. The bank balance you have got in a checking bank is what is sanchita karma or accumulated karma. You go and draw some money from that bank account for your day-to-day expenses. That is prarabdha karma, which you have withdrawn for this particular life. When you are doing action, every 2 weeks you will get a paycheck. That is kriyamana. You are accumulating the wealth. And then what you will do? You will take this check, go to the bank and deposit it back in the bank, agami, which will be added back to your accumulated bank account called sanchita karma. Clear? Of these two you must remember, that is sanchita and prarabdha. This is going to come back to us again and again in our discussion. Mass karma. Mass karma is very interesting. About a century back, if you remember, Titanic started sailing with almost 2,500 people on that. Hits an iceberg, goes down carrying more than 1,700 people with that. That is an example of mass karma. 9/11, when the Twin Towers were attacked and more than 1,500 people died, that is an example of mass karma. When a community, a group of people, a society, a state, a nation suppose together, that is an example of mass karma. What happened in Japan now is an example of mass karma. Swami says, God is always economical. He tries to achieve many things at one and the same time. We all do this. I'm sure that even though you came to the center, you got many other agendas today. While going back, you will probably go and have some doshas in the Udupi hotel or go to the other shop, buy something. So you got a lot of things planned together. God also does it the same way. Swami says God is like a locomotive engine. The locomotive engine has got lot of power. It's not used to haul 1 or 2 freight cars. It will wait till 100, 200 freight cars are ready and then it will haul all together. So Swami says, when God is able to see that hundreds of thousands of people's karmic consequences are all maturing, what he will do? He will bring all of them together and in one stroke take them all off. But here is a problem. When you try to collect hundreds of thousands of people at the same time in the same place, there is always this possibility that somebody will get into it who does not fulfill the karmic criteria. Good? So, what will happen? See, I'm sure if you have a garden, if you try to pull weeds, if you're not very careful, what you will do? You will pull out a flower plant also. So in the same way, if someone who is not fulfilling the karmic criteria and gets into that group, will he be taken off? No. God's laws are too perfect to make any mistakes. What he will do, God will do, he will take them out from that situation. And we call it as miraculous escapes. In God's dictionary, there is nothing called as miracle. His time had not come, so he is just taken out of that. I am sure you heard this. In the Twin Towers, what happened was, one guy who works there in that building, he was going in his car and he comes to a railroad junction. The gates were closed, and he was close to the gate, but there was one car right in front of him, and the gate was closed, and it took a long time for the train to come. He's fretting and furious because he's getting late to go to the job. When ultimately the train came, the front car broke down. And you know how they park in New York, bumper to bumper. And both sides there are cars. He was no way he was able to get out from there and go there. So he was late by more than an hour or two. And by that time, the tower was hit and he escaped. So later on, everybody said, oh my goodness, miraculous escape. There was nothing miraculous. His time had simply not come. So God said, don't go there. He takes it out the other way. There was a flight years back from Pittsburgh to Chicago which crashed. Everybody died in that. There was one person who was booked by that flight. Just when he was about to get out and take the car and go to the airport, his son fell, hit his head onto some furniture. He had a big laceration. So he had to take the child to the emergency room to get it treated. So missed his flight. He was cursing his luck. He thought he had an important meeting. Later on he heard in the news that the plane had crashed. And everybody said, congratulated him, saying that miraculous escape. There was nothing miraculous about that at all. On the other hand, if your time had come, it will bring you thousands of miles to that spot to get killed. For example, on the same 9/11, what happened was, hundreds of tourists came from all over the world. Imagine how much of planning they did a year or 2 years before. They accumulated money to come to this place. They decided to come to US for a visit. They decided to go to New York. They decided to go to New York on that particular day and that particular time. They are prompted to go up on that Twin Tower to get killed. So when the time comes, it pulls you. So there was one of my patients. He was depressed, quite depressed. So he decides to kill himself. So what he did, he put a noose around his neck. He tied it to a tree and jumped. The branch broke and he fell on the ground and the branch came and hit on his side. The only result was a bruised head and a bruised butt. He didn't got killed. So when the time doesn't come, even if you try to kill yourself, it will not happen. On the other hand, when the time has come, nobody can take you out. Many of you may remember, in India there was a flight from years before, couple of decades before. There was a flight from Bombay to Ahmedabad and the plane crashed, everybody died in that. This flight was completely booked and there was a waiting list for almost like 100 people. There was one businessman from Ahmedabad who thought he was very smart, class A personality. He can get everything done just like that. So what he did, even though his number was in the waiting list, about 100 or 112, he went behind the counter, bribed everybody from top to bottom. He displaced somebody and got that seat and was very happy that he has been able to do that. What is the result? He died in the air crash and the fellow who got killed, the fellow who escaped, was the other person who initially thought, was very angry that he could not get into the flight. But that fellow escaped. So this is how the law of karma works. In God's creation, no mistakes are ever done. Everything has happened as per absolute perfection. So remember, Sanchita karma, Prarabdha karma, Kriyamana, Agami and Mass karma. This finishes the part 1 of our discussion. How are we doing at the time?
10 more minutes.
Okay. Do you want me to get the 10 minutes break now and go for the second part? The second part is slightly different. Is that okay? But it's 10 minutes only break because we have got to cover a lot of place. Is that okay with the President?
Yes.
So we'll have a 10 minutes break now and please come back and I don't want my bad karmas to become more. I need to tell you how to tackle this karma. Sir.
SaiRam, so we'll be back at 10:30 right here. Okay? SaiRam.
SaiRam, if you can take your places, please. It's a 3 hours and then we start. So, the second part, we have got second part and a third part. The third part deals basically with how to tackle karmas. And the second part, what I have done is, see, over the years, there are certain questions which come up again and again and again from devotees. So I grouped all those questions and tried to give them answers straight away so that later on you don't have so many questions to ask probably. But I'm pretty sure karma, when we talk, there are questions and questions and questions. And I don't want to leave with bad karma left behind. I need to answer as much as possible, whatever I know about at least. So this part, I've taken 7 questions which are commonly asked, and I'll try to answer them so that you already know about most of these things. Question number 1 is, people tell me, they say, oh Mohan, I heard your talk on karma, and I wish the law of karma were true, because he says good for good, bad for bad, it is going so nice. But I don't believe in it anymore, because look at my own life. He says from childhood I have helped everyone. I looked after my aged parents. I educated my family members. I got them jobs. But look at my life. My life has been only a series of misfortunes and tragedies. You want me to believe in this law of karma? I don't. And he adds, he says, I don't even believe in the guarantor of the karma. He says, I have lost faith in God. Now this is a short-sighted, myopic view. Why does this happen? He says, he'll say that even this I am prepared to accept. But look at my neighbor. He is a drug dealer. Look at his house. He's got a palatial house. Look at the cars he is driving. He lives such a happy life. Do you want me to believe this law of karma? I don't. Now, this is explained, this is very important because this question comes up again and again. This is explained by what we call the silo theory. I am sure that every one of you, if you drive around US or even in many of the Western countries, farmers use large, round, cylindrical drums to store grains. It's called a silo. I am sure you all seen the long structures, 20, 30, 40 feet tall. Imagine you are a farmer. Imagine your neighbor is also a farmer. Last year, unfortunately, you had a very bad crop. You had broken third quality grains, rice, wheat, whatever you want to call it. And what you have done, you have filled your silo half last year with the broken third quality grains. Whereas your neighbor last year had a bumper crop. He has filled 3/4 of his silo last year with the best high quality grains. So this year what you did, you prayed and prayed to Swami, you wrote letters to Swami, you sent letters to Swami and all sorts of, religious vows you took. Ultimately, Swami has blessed you so that this year you got a wonderful bumper crop. And you to great delight, your neighbor's crop is all a failure this time. Now what you are doing this time is, now you have started harvesting. You are filling, your silo now is the best quality grains you are filling day after day. Trucks are coming and filling your silo from the top with the best quality grains. And you are seeing your neighbor shedding tears, he is filling his silo with the worst third quality type of grains. Now at the bottom of the silo, you got a small trap door which you open every day to collect a few handful of grains for your day-to-day expenses. Now even though for the last 3 or 4 weeks you have been filling your silo with the best quality grains, When you open the trap door, you get bad grains. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. Now you call your wife and says, what's going on? I have been filling my silo with the best quality grains day after day after day. But when you open the trap door and getting only third quality grains, and look at the neighbor, I can see he is filling a silo with the bad quality grains, but he is enjoying very good quality grains. God must be siphoning off my good quality grains to his silo. That's what he is enjoying. See how conveniently you forgot that last year you did fill your silo half with bad third quality grains, and your neighbor had filled his silo 3/4 with good quality grains. So if you patiently wait long enough, your bad quality grains will finish, and the same good quality grains that you yourself filled in, you will start enjoying it. And you wait long enough, you will be delighted to see that your neighbor starts getting the bad quality grains. Now if you ask this question, how long do I have to wait to start enjoying my good quality grains? The answer is, how quickly you exhaust your bad quality grains. The quicker you finish them, you start enjoying the good quality grains. When Swami says, when the waves start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, hold on, the shore is getting close by. Do not get upset and say that, oh, this is happening, that sort of a thing. That it will finish and come back. You must have seen, as Swami several times says, Swami says, suppose I see a devotee is very good. He has got another 10 lifetimes to go. In my compassion, what I may do is to get all those bad things what he was supposed to suffer in the 10 lives, put them all, compress and give it to him in this life so he does not have to come back into this world again. But then you will see this devotee suffering and suffering and suffering and suffering one after the other. That's out of compassion that he does, because the sufferings have been condensed into one life. So this is the answer. When you say that I don't believe in God, I don't believe in the law of theory, law of karma anymore, that the greatest mistake that you will be doing is not to believe in the law of karma. Connected to this, there are several things I want to say. One, I'm sure that every one of you must have had chance to lose money in some way. Somebody pickpocket you. You went to a car mechanic and you come from there with a feeling that he has cheated you. Or you bought a house from a so-called friend only to later on see that there are so many things in the house which he didn't tell you. Or you bought an old car and then you find that there are so many things wrong in that he didn't tell you. So you feel cheated. But you know what actually is happening? Some past life you cheated him. You had owed that individual some money which you voluntarily did not pay back. So he is not taking it back with interest as of now. But you may argue and say that no, that has not happened at all. I could have never done such things. Okay, let us accept that in principle. If that is the case, you have never cheated somebody in your past life and somebody is taking money out of you, then you don't have to worry at all. Because the law of karma is so perfect that it will make that individual come and give you back that money with interest. Either way, you don't have to worry about it. But of course, to get that back, you may have to come back in another lifetime to get it back. I don't know whether it's worthwhile to do that or not. But the law of karma is too perfect. You cannot take 1 cent which belongs to somebody else by hook or by crook. You will be forced to return that money. Talk about gambling and lottery. Swami specifically says don't gamble. People are fond of, $150 million, $350 million lottery. People want to, buy lottery tickets and get that money. But the problem is, either way it is bad. Suppose you buy the lottery tickets and don't win, as it usually happens, you feel bad about it anyway. On the other hand, suppose you win that money, that is the greatest tragedy that can happen to you. And why do I say that? The reason is, in any gambling, Swami says, suppose you win that money, let's say $100 million you won through a lottery. Swami says, that money does not belong to you. It is sweat of hundreds of millions of people who earn through the sweats of money. Legally, it may be okay, but morally, it is totally impure money. If you try to use money that does not belong to you, it will cause you misery to you, to your family, it will ruin your family. Swami says you should not use, especially money. Swami says, remember, Swami says, never keep a debt with someone. Whether monetary, service, anything, if someone gives you something, either do not accept it free. If you accept something from someone, make sure you return it in this life itself. And especially money, if you take from someone, make sure that you return it and do not keep an account. Same way about service. It is fun to lie down on the bed and say that bring me breakfast, bring me this and everything. But provided you are prepared to give it back in the same coin to the others. Otherwise, Swami says, Swami, you must have heard Swami saying, for personal comforts, do not take service from others. If you take it, you are bound, obligated to return to that individual. So lottery is banned. So remember, he says, don't play lottery or gambling, because that money is polluted money, morally impure money. When you talk about, sometimes later on maybe, about food, I'll tell you that there is morally impure food. If you take, it will really ruin you. So you cannot take that. The third situation is, see, about a couple of decades back, in the 70s, 80s, I used to feel very jealous about people who are very close to Swami. You know, when you sit there, you can see somebody is daily going into Swami's room, talking to Swami, and and here we are far away looking at him to see and talk to him. So I used to feel bad about it. Till I heard Swami saying in one speech, Swami said, in Rama's time, when Rama went to the forest, the sages told him, Rama, please stay for the 14 years with us, and then you can go back. Rama said, no, I cannot, because those people who are supposed to be close to me in this life have already been born as monkeys. I need to go and give them the darshan, sparshan and sambhashan. He told the sages, if you want to be close to me, come in the next avatara, in Dwapara Yuga, I am going to come as Krishna, you come as Gopikas. So imagine people who are close to Swami have done so much of merits in their past, hundreds of thousands of lives. Swami said, even to be born contemporary to an incarnation, you must have done hundreds of lifetimes of good meritorious deeds, then only you can even come and be born contemporary to an incarnation. To come close to that incarnation, to recognize that incarnation and have darshan, sparshan, sambhashan. Swami says it requires innumerable amount of good merits done in innumerable births before. So then I console myself. Why? Suppose tomorrow I go to the bank and I go and withdraw $300 from the bank, and I see another person withdrawing $100,000 from the bank. Can I go and complain to the bank manager saying that you are giving him so much of money? You are giving me only $300? He has deposited money, so he is withdrawing that. See, if I have got no bank balance, bank manager is not going to give me. So people who are close to Swami, because of their meritorious deeds, I can't grip. If I want to be close to Swami, I know that Premasa is coming. All that I need to do is to do my homework properly, put a lot of deposits, then I can be close to Swami. But there is a caveat here. When it is true that people who are close to Swami have done enormous amounts of meritorious deeds. The problem is, when those persons are close to Swami, they are heavily withdrawing from their spiritual account. Every day they spend with Swami, they are withdrawing heavily, and if they do not take care to redeposit and replenish their account, that will quickly run out. And then they will be thrown out from that place. You must have seen, you must have heard very close devotees of Swami who have been with Swami all the time for 10 years. They used to go in and out, suddenly will disappear from Parthi, never to be seen or heard after that. What did they do wrong? They took it for granted that their account is going to remain intact. Suppose I have got, let's say, $1 million in the bank. I don't have it, I'm just giving an example. So, suppose I got $1 million in the bank. and I started going and withdrawing $100,000 week after week after week. I don't replenish that account. Within 6 weeks, the account is gone. So in the same way here, it's people who are very close to Swami can quickly exhaust their good merits unless they continue to do spiritual sadhana. And I'll give you an example of this. A few years back, there was a student in Swami's school or college, I'm not sure. He was exceptionally close to Swami, so much so that he had free access to Swami's room. Even after Swami retired for the night, he could walk into that room. The bad thing was, this fellow was a bad person. He used to drink, he used to smoke, do all sorts of things. So people, the students, the teachers are all shocked to see that Swami is giving free access to this individual to Swami's room. He can go and talk, those sorts of things. And Swami said, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Many students and even teachers wrote letters to Swami saying that Swami, he is ruining your name. He is so bad. Swami said, it's okay, it's okay. Many students and teachers lost faith in Swami, saying that if Swami is omnipresent, can't he see what is going on? So this unfortunate situation continued for 3 long years. One fine morning they got up to hear that this fellow has been thrown out from the college, thrown out from Puttaparthi and told never to come back again to that place. Now total confusion. So far Swami has been saying, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And then suddenly he is thrown up. Fortunately for everyone, Swami gave the explanation this time. You know what had happened? Swami said, look, this boy was with me in my Shirdi avatar time. He was in Shirdi. And I went to his house and he hosted me in his house for 3 days. He sheltered me, he gave me food for 3 days. I had that debt that I owed him back. To repay that debt, I kept him here for 3 years, looked after him, sheltered him and fed him. He has exhausted that merits. You will never see him back again here. So basically what happens is, spiritual account is one which you can exhaust quickly unless you go on replenishing that. So coming back to the point that why good people suffer, why bad people are enjoying. Bad people are enjoying because of the past karmas they had done. If you wait long enough, let the rascals enjoy now. Their turn is going to come. And they will suffer for the consequences. No single action is going to go unanswered. The same way, if you have done some good deeds, you will get back the fruits. But whether you want to take it or not, will come to later on. It may not be a good idea to look for the fruits of the good actions also. So that is number one question. So now this may lead to the next question. You may ask, does it mean that all good people also should suffer in this world? My question is, who is a good person? You know why this question people ask? Because we all feel that we are all very good people. So we are asking this question, should good people suffer? The answer of course is obvious, is good people should not suffer, but the question is, who is this good person? Now I will approach this question from a different angle. Now suppose there is an individual who every day evening 5 o'clock without break he goes to a bar, spends the whole night till 2 o'clock in the morning, he is sitting in the bar and comes back home. It's very difficult to tell somebody that he is a very good person because he is going to a very bad place. Or better example is, let's take a prison house. Who are prisoners? Prisoners are because they committed some offense, minor or major. They have been imprisoned. You can't call them good people. It's a bad place, right? Exceptions are of course, the people who are employed, they are going and come back. But prisoners, the prison house is a bad place. What about us? What is this world all about? This world is a big prison house. We have been brought here to basically to educate us and correct us. It's a big correctional facility. Why would I say that? You know what Krishna says about this world in the Gita? Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This is a miserable place. Don't even come here. If you come here, get out from this place as quickly as possible. Anityava sukham lokam imam prapya bhajaswamam. Anityam asukham lokam. Krishna says this is a mansion of misery. Why would you like to come here? So if we are all good people, what is it that we are doing here? The answer is, we are all bad people. We have done some bad things and that's why we have been brought here. So this question should not come. Good people should not suffer, but we are not good people, that's why we are here. And that's why you are suffering. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not creating bad karma you are saying that, but that's the truth. But then the question comes, does it mean that everyone who comes to this world is a bad person? No, there is an exception to this rule too. There is an elite group of people who come into this world not because of their past karmas. Their janma is not a karma janma, but it's a leela janma. Take the incarnation. Does Swami come into this world because he's got some karmic consequences to pay back? No. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramana Maharshi, those people who come into this world, there is leela janma. What they do is realized persons and God Himself. They feel sorry for us so much, saying that these people don't know what they are doing. They are so miserable in this world. To show us how life should be and how one should conduct oneself and how to get out of this prison house, they come down. But the paradoxical situation is, these people who do not have any karmas at all, their life is a continuous tragedy. They suffer far more than any one of them. How can we explain this? They don't have any karmas, but at the same time, they suffer and suffer and suffer. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa died of laryngeal cancer. He could not drink a drop of water. Ramana Maharshi had sarcoma of his muscles. So how do we explain this? Now you know what Swami is going through now. At least he is acting as he is going through now. It's only a basic drama, a drama within a drama basically. God's incarnation is, incarnations remember, like Rama's, Krishna's or Sai says, they act out the role so well, make believe. Because they come down as human beings to show us how human beings should live. So they behave in the form of a human being. So remember, the incarnation is a combination of man and God. They show, they have to behave like a human being to tell us how we should conduct ourselves. Anyway, we'll come to this point later on. So these people, basically they take on themselves the sufferings of most of us who cannot suffer. So when suppose Swami sees that a devotee is good this time, he is really praying to Swami, and then he is supposed to go through a bad karma through that, what they do is they take it on themselves and suffer the consequences. This Swami has done it hundreds of times before. So this is another instance what is going on. But now even this explanation that we are all bad people and that we are suffering, it's not going to give you much satisfaction. You are saying that no, this is not acceptable. What you will say, this leads to the third question now. The third question is, they say, but we say God is an ocean of compassion. He is full of mercy. Swami himself says that I am like the love of 1,000 mothers I have. So most of you are parents here. Now tell me, if your child is suffering physically or mentally, and if it is within your capacity to relieve that suffering, won't you rush to help that child and relieve suffering? If Swami is claiming that he has got the love of 1,000 mothers, how can he watch totally unaffected by our suffering and not come to rescue us? So that is the question. Okay. At least you all will agree that any mother anywhere in the world, from the time immemorial, they love their children to death. A mother will practically give up all her comforts, all her enjoyments, and even her life itself for the sake of her child. I won't tell about the dads because usually dads don't do that. But even such a mother who wants only good and happiness to come to her child, she still will discipline him. No mother wants her child to be indisciplined. And if necessary, she will even spank him. But when the spanking is required, she usually takes the help of the dad. And dad usually obliges happily for this. And I can remember my own younger days. I can distinctly remember 5 or 6 instances where I was beaten right, left and center. We used to get beating pretty bad. But father used to be very calm man. It's very difficult to make him angry so that he would come and beat us. But the problem was every time that I got beating, it was mother who went and instigated him to do this. She'll go on and on and on saying that, can't you see your son is getting ruined? He will become a burden on society. You can't do something about it. So ultimately, probably to keep her quiet, father will come and beat us. And the paradoxical situation is the moment father started beating, she'll come and protect me and say, no, that's enough, don't beat him too much. Or we used to go and hide ourselves in the neighbor's house, and mother will sneak in with some food and drinks and everything. She really, the mother she wants us discipline, but at the same time she could never see us suffering. So that is the mother. But then she will discipline him. Or take this example. Suppose your son or daughter is preparing for, let's say, an SAT examination. And he is sitting through the night, not eating well, not sleeping well, reading 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. The mother feels the pain. She feels that her son has to go through all the suffering. And she won't sleep. She'll come and peek again and again at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock to see what he is doing. Is he sleeping or something of sort? But in spite of that, do you think any sensible mom will go and tell her son, forget about this examination, go and enjoy yourself, eat and make merry? She will not do that because she knows that for his future, this is very important. So, Swami says, or the even better example is, a newborn child is so tender. If you even hold the child a little tight, it will start crying. The mother knows that very well. Every mother around the world, knowing that the child, if it gets pain, is going to cry, deliberately will take her child at 2 months, 4 months, 6 months to the pediatrician or the health department office to get immunization shots. And as you know, at 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, we give at least 5 shots each time when they come. Even older people, grown-up people will disagree. If I want to give an injection, they will refuse. I am giving the injection for the pain what they have. Even then they will say, no injection, it hurts too much. So, still the mother is going to take this child to the health department to get the shots. Why? Because mother knows that the shots are going to protect the child even from fatal diseases. So mother knows that through this little suffering, better things are going to come. So also God looks at our future welfare on us. Swami says, any birth, any transformation is always painful. If you say that I don't want to go through any pain, you cannot transform. Swami says, I have to break you to remake you. Swami says this example. He says, when gold is extracted from the earth, it has got too many impurities in that. If that gold has been converted into a beautiful jewel, the gold must necessarily go through a process of purification. And that purification involves heating, melting, cutting, twisting. Then only it becomes a beautiful necklace. If the gold says, no, don't subject me to any of the suffering, then you cannot become a gold jewel. Take the example of a diamond. An uncut diamond is just like a piece of glass. The more you cut, the more brilliant it becomes. Swami says suffering makes a person much better. Swami says if you want to sculpt out a beautiful statue of Krishna from a piece of granite, the sculptor must use a chisel and a hammer. If the granite is going to say that no hammer or no strokes on me, then that cannot be converted into a beautiful statue of Krishna. So, suffering is a necessary part. So, Swami says, so you can ask this question, you will say that, is it good on God's part just because He wants to make us good, make us go through the suffering? Swami says, no. Swami says, take it out of your mind. God does not. This is another important point to remember. God, He has got no role in your pain or suffering or your happiness. He says, I do not give anybody happiness, I do not give anybody pain. He says that because of your past bad karmas you are going to suffer, but I take that opportunity to, improve you. In other words, the chisel is made by us and given to God to correct us. And here is the beautiful example. Swami says, you know what my role is in the law of karma? He says, imagine you are going to play a basketball game. It is imperative that the players know the rules and regulations before they start playing. If they play foul, they will be punished. What we are doing here, when we come to this world, we don't know the rules of the game. You can imagine a basketball game where none of the players know the rules and regulations. That's exactly what is happening to us. We don't know the rules of the law of karma, and we try to do what we want and get into trouble one after the other. Swami says, this is what I do as far as the law of karma is concerned. I am like a mailman. Each one of you, when you do a karma, basically you are packaging a parcel. Good karma, good package. Bad karma, bad package. And you self-address all these and put it in the mailbox. My job is only to come and give you back your self-addressed parcels. When you open it, if you feel something bad, why do you blame me? If you get a bad news in the mail, do you go and blame the mailman for that? If you want to get good parcels, package always good things. What you send out is coming back to you. Why blame God in that? Swami says, I got no role. If you are happy, it's because of your past good karmas. If you are suffering, it's your bad karmas. So it just basically comes back to you. Now we go to the fourth question. This question is usually asked by very intelligent people. They'll say, oh Mohan, I heard your law of karma theory, I understand that, I realized that law of karma is, but what is the whole point? What do you achieve by this karma? What his explanation? He says, from childhood I have been subjected to suffering after suffering and after suffering. Every time I ask this question, they will say, some bad thing you did in your past karma, so you are suffering. I am never told what was the sin what I did. I am punished right, left and center without giving an explanation as to what I did. Now this sort of a question comes is because subconsciously we compare man's laws to God's laws. When you punish your child, when you spank him or do something, you say that you did this wrong, so this is why you are getting punished. You take away a cell phone because you did this, so 1 week you don't have a cell phone. Or when you go to the court, the judge is going to give you a judgment saying that this is the mistake what you did, so this is the punishment. When the cop gives you a ticket, he will say, this was a speed zone of 65, you are going at 85, so here is a ticket. So we are saying that God must send us some sort of an explanation as and when we suffer. In the human world, why do we do this? When we punish, we tell them this is the mistake what you did. Our hope is that you don't repeat the same mistake all over again, right? How many times does it work? I'm sure every one of you must have got a speeding ticket one or the time or the other. You stop speeding after that? When I got a speeding ticket, I got a radar detector after that. That's what I did. So basically, our smokers, in my office, every person will sit and say, smoking is bad, quit smoking. Who listens to that? It goes through this ear. It doesn't even enter the ear probably. It went inside the ear, goes through the other ear. It doesn't work that well, but maybe there are some people who may correct that. But in this case, God is not giving us an explanation as to what we did wrong is because of this reason. Take this example. I believe most of the prisons, I have not been there, so I have only heard about this. The prison house, I believe there are 3 grades of prison. Let's say class A, class B and class C. Class C are the worst. Serial murderers and serious offences have been committed, who have been subjected to solitary confinement for the rest of their lives. So I believe they can't see anybody, they can't talk to anybody, they can't contact their families, no magazines, no this thing, no TV, nothing. And bad food too, that's very bad. Class B prisoners are a little better off. They got little more facilities, they can go to a gym probably and some other facilities. Class A prisoners are well off. They can watch TV, they can go to the gym, they can read newspapers, they can contact their families, they can talk to them like that. Imagine you are a I'm not wishing that, I'm just giving an example here. In a class 3 prisoner, solitary confinement for the rest of your life, you are going to remain in that room, no contact with the outside world. Now, in that prison house, imagine, you know that the rest of your life you are going to spend in that confined 4x6 room, you are going to spend for the rest of your life. Are you interested in anything at all about what is happening outside the world? Your whole world now becomes that prison house. You are only interested in knowing what is happening in that prison house. The only thing which is attracting you is the class B and class A prisoners. You think, oh my God, class A prisoners are in heaven itself. They are enjoying life. They can watch the TV, they can read newspapers, they can talk to their families. Imagine. So this individual, the only ambition that he has is what? Somehow get into class B prison, and if possible, if he gets to class A prison, he is in heaven itself. Who do you think are all the class 3 prisoners? We are all class 3 prisoners. Who are the class A prisoners? The rich, the wealthy, the famous, and the celebrities. You ask any youth today, young people, old people, you ask the same question, they will say, the only ambition that you have is make a lot of money, lie down, drink beer, and don't do anything. In spite of knowing that maximum number of drug use and suicides happen among celebrities and the rich people. But we think that that is the objective. So Swami says that is not your objective. You know why you have been born in this world, so that you do not come back into this world again. Do you know why you die? You do not die again. You cannot die again provided you don't come back. Once you come back into this world, we got to escape. We have to die. So God's objective is not to come and tell you, this is the mistake you did, that's why you're suffering. Then what you will do? You will try to correct that mistake, and you want to live on in this world getting happiness and joy. That's not his job. He says, get out of this prison. If in a prisoner, the class 3 person should know that what he needs to do is to get out of that prison, not go to class A prison. The same way we do the mistake of looking at the rich people and the celebrities and think that we should become that. That's not the objective. Swami says, you must get out of this prison, this world, and not come back into this world again. Now we go to the next question. Some of the children, if they are there, they will be happy to hear this. I said that when you give pain, pain comes back to you. When you give joy, joy comes back to you. So what about disciplining your children? The children are going to tell you tomorrow, saying that you will get bad karma if you punish me. So don't punish me, don't cause me discomfort. So, is it true that you cannot punish your children or discipline them? I'll give you an example and the answer will come to you automatically. There was this young man, about 20 years old, a dropout from the school and the college, a drug addict, an alcoholic, and he fell in love with a teenager. The English language I really like. Fell in love. If you get that fall, you never get up after that. That's a fatal fall what usually happens. And so after what happens is, the father of this girl, he knew about this boy and he warned him, saying that do not ever come near my house or meet my girl. I'll call the cops. So one day this young man is drunk. He had a revolver. So he loads it and comes to the girl's house. The dad is seeing that this fellow is coming. So immediately he gets out of the house. He does not even want this boy come near the house. So he goes and confronts him. So there's an argument. And what he does is, this fellow is drunk anyway. He takes his gun and shot him right in the head and killed him instantly. The girl is watching everything from the house. And then he tries to drive off to Mexico, and he is caught en route and he is brought back. And now within a year or something, the judge gave the punishment. What was it? A death penalty was given to him. He was supposed to be hung. And that was carried out, that the hangman did hang him and he was killed. Now in this example, this young man was called a murderer because he killed the girl's father. The hangman also killed this individual. Will you call the hangman a murderer? Or the judge who gave the punishment saying that you get hanging, Will you call a judge a murderer? You will not provide it, provided the judge's judgment was impartial. There was no other consideration he had in the judgment. He gives judgment on the judgment alone. Suppose this judge's judgment was biased because he knew the family of the individual, either for or against, and he changed the judgment because of this bias, then you cannot call him. Then you can call him a murderer basically. The same situation comes. See, when you do a duty without any other thing coming into that, then it is duty alone. In the same way, if you are punishing your child only for the purpose of correction, not with any other motive, then it is your duty. On the other hand, this happens very often. Suppose, let's say there is a stepfather, a stepmother. A stepfather starts beating the stepson for some other ulterior motive. That's no longer just punishment. Then his karmic consequences are going to come back to him. Is that clear, or did they confuse you? As long as you, within your duty, something comes and you do your duty, that is not going to get back to you, provided you did not get biased from that. The next question people ask is, what about collateral damage? What is collateral damage? Collateral damage usually is a term from the military. Suppose, let's say that you want to destroy one particular house of the terrorists and you send a missile there. You want only that particular building to be destroyed, nothing else to be affected around. But whatever other things get destroyed, it's called collateral damage, unintended damage. So in the law of karma, what happens? Take this typical example. A child congenitally deformed or cerebral palsy is born to parents. No doubt this child is suffering because of his past karmas. But what about the parents? What about the brothers and sisters? They also suffer in the bargain, because for the parents to bring up this child is going to be a lot of pain. So this is what is called collateral damage. Is it justified? The answer is, no doubt this child is suffering because of his past karmas, but this child will be born to such parents who have got a debt to pay back to this child. They are connected. In this bargain, Swami says there are 4 types of births. They are called as Rinadhata, Rinabhokta, Nyasaputra and Upekshaputra. Rinadhata, Rina means debt. Rinadhata is you are giving off your debt. Rinabhokta is you are enjoying the debt back. In this particular instance where the child is affected and the parents are suffering to look after the child, he is Rinabhokta. Rinabhokta in this relation, that is in some past life, the parents who are there had owed a lot of debt of physically looking after them and monetarily that debt the parents have. So in this life what happens? The parents are forced to spend money and look after this child. The child is enjoying Rinabhokta, while the parents are Rinadhatas. Is that clear? So the other way around also can come. So that the child is born to parents, otherwise healthy. But he is forced to look after the parents, the father or the mother, because let's say the father gets a hemiplegia or he is paralyzed, he is wheelchair bound, bedridden, and this son or daughter is forced to look after the parents physically and spend money. He is paying back the debt to the parents what he owed because he did not pay it back in that particular lifetime when they looked after him. So that balances out. What is Nyasaputra? Nyasaputra is one where a child is born but the parents will not be able to keep the child and enjoy the company of the child. Soon after birth, the child will be taken away for some reason or other. Somebody else will bring up this child. Like as it happens in many of the adaptations, etc. Or take the example of Krishna's birth. Krishna, even though he was born to Devaki and Vasudeva, immediately after birth they had to separate from the child, and Yashoda will have a chance to look after this child. So that is Nyasaputra. Upekshaputra is one where people like Swami, who do not have any type of karmas to give out, They come into the world of their own free will. They choose their parents to come in, where there is no debt between the parents and the child at all. So this is what is called collateral damage. We have to answer one more question. What is going to happen to me? So why do anything at all? Nobody thought about this? The answer is this. What is the objective of human existence? Purusharthas, that is the Sanskrit word. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is your objective. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Dharma is what? There is no equivalent word in English, but right living, moral living is Dharma. Artha, the word basically means wealth. Wealth can be money that you earn, you got land, buildings, jewelry, clothing, furniture, this all will come under the heading of wealth. Artha. Kama is desire for something plus the capacity to enjoy sensual pleasures. That is Kama. Moksha, you all know, is liberation. Now see the way in which is given. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Why do they put in this line is Artha or wealth should be learned through Dharma. Money should be earned only through moral means. Kama is combined with Moksha. Your desire should be for liberation. But what is it that we are all interested in? We are not interested in Dharma. We are not interested in Moksha. We all want what? Artha and Kama. We want wealth and enjoy sensual pleasures. Now look at the ingenuity of God. You really start wondering how of course He made us, so He gives us the idea to think. Look at the smartness of God in this. What He did was, the two things what you are really interested in, which you spend the whole day after day you spend is to earn money, to increase your money and to enjoy sensual pleasures you spend all the time. These two are already predestined. You cannot change that. This will be a shock to many one of you. Remember, try as you may. The wealth what you will earn for this life is predestined. You cannot earn even $1 more than what is destined. You may try and try and try and try. You may spend sleepless nights trying to earn money. That is not going to happen. If you don't believe me, is there a person in this world who is not trying to increase their wealth? If wealth will correspond to your exertions, why is not everybody a multi-millionaire in the world? Try as you may, I am sure you all have experienced. Try as you may, wealth is not just going to come to you unless it has been predestined. So predestination will result in the amount of enjoyment that you can have in this world and the amount of wealth what you are going to earn is predestined. So don't waste time on that, because that's already decided. What is not decided? Dharma and Moksha are not decided. So you should actually spend all your time only for those two, because whatever enjoyment you are going to have and the wealth you are going to have is predestined. It will come back to you unasked for. This is like an examination. In India, a few years back, some of the examinations used to be essay type questions. Some of the paper will say, you got 2 hours to answer the question. There are only 2 questions. Question 1, question 2. Question 1 has got a choice. You can use 2 questions are given in question A or question 1. You can answer either A or B. But question 2 you have to answer. There is no choice in that. So what intelligent person should do? 1 hour you spend in one of the questions for the one and answer the second one. Will it not be foolishness for you to try to answer both the questions from the A and waste your time? That's what we are doing now. Trying to earn wealth and enjoy and spending your time on that is useless. You cannot increase your wealth. It is predestined what is going to come to you. Even if somebody will ask me this question, suppose I sit at home and not do anything, will it come back to me? If it is destined for you to come, it will come to you unasked for.
What about the law of attraction?
Questions will keep for towards the end, because otherwise I don't want to create bad karma to everyone, so we will keep it towards the end. I will try to answer a question later. So where was I? Okay, so do not waste time, but in spite of my telling you this, your mind is made up in such a way you will continue to do the same thing. This is what the effect of prarabdha karma is. Knowing very well something, you will still do it. That is because the prarabdha karma in your mind will prompt you to do the same thing again and again. But at least I have done my duty of telling you that this is what basically happens. Okay, so now this finishes the second part. Now we go to the third part, how to deal with karmas. Now, how much is time?
Half an hour.
Half an hour, okay. This part is a little complicated. And since it is a talk on karma, I need to touch upon the basic things. But I will tell you the simplest way you can undo all karmas. Okay, so I will tell you the end. Even if you get confused a little in between, don't lose hope. Now the question is, so this term can be approached from different aspects. The most common way I will approach this is, what is the concern we all have? If you ask an average person, what do you want? The answer is, I want to live a happy, comfortable, wealthy living without any pain or suffering. That's all you want, right? Let me tell you, this is a very tall order. This is not going to happen. Why? Because we already made the mistake of coming into this world. Once you come into this world, you cannot avoid misery and suffering. Without going into details, I will tell you, we all did not only, I don't want to get stuck here basically. Remember, you will be surprised to know that, no, I don't want to go there. I will come back to that later. See, it is impossible to live in this world without suffering. But suppose you argue and say, for theoretical profession, let's argue it, saying that, suppose I have done only good karmas in the past. Why can't I get good things only in this life? Let us presume that. Suppose you have been destined to have only happiness in this life because of your past karmas. Even though you don't have any direct suffering, what about your family? What about your spouse? What about your parents? What about your children? If they start suffering, somebody gets a cancer, somebody dies of an accident, even though the karma went to them, you suffer because you are related to them or mentally you are attached to them. Can you avoid that suffering? Let's presume that also did not happen. All those, your relation friends are all born good, everything is good happening to you. But in that case, as the years progress, our body is going to get old. And I can tell you, old age is no fun. When our knees and the hips starts producing the creaking noise like a old unoiled window, it is no fun. So suppose, do you want to say that you don't want to get old? The answer is, then die young. You want to die young? No. So where is the way out? Once you are coming to this world, you are caught in this trap. So some of you who are hearing this talk are going to say that, okay, all the problem is caused by karma. From tomorrow onwards, I'll get up, no karmas. I'm not going to do any karmas at all. Sorry, that option is not available. Because I told you that even thoughts are karmas. That's why Krishna says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jadodishtyatya karmagrade. It's impossible for an embodied human being to remain without karmas. So he scratched away and said, alright, if I have to do karma, then I'll do only good karmas. Sorry, that option is also not available. You will be shocked to say that why can't I do only good karmas? You know, this world, God designed this world in such a way, even in the best of karmas, there's a trace of evil contained in that. Every action looks good from one perspective, from another's perspective, it looks bad. I'll give you just a simple couple of examples. Suppose you are opening let's say a shop and you want to employ a couple of people there. And 100 people are applied for the job. And somebody, your side devotee, somebody comes and says, look, that fellow, so and so, he has got, 7 children, he's looking after his parents, etc. Everybody is starving. If you give this job to him, you can save all those people and he is fully qualified. So you say that, great thing, he is fully qualified for this job. And if I give this job, everybody is going to be saved. When you give the job, you think you have done a good job, right? Of good karma by doing that. That fellow is also going to thank you profusely. The other 99 people who apply for the job don't feel very happy about it. From their perspective, you did a bad karma. Because you took the recommendation from somebody and selected somebody. Every action, Swami says, even the Gita, Swami says, Sahajam karma kaunteya sadosham abhinatyajet sarvarambhahi doshena dhumena agri avrida sarvarambhahi doshena dhumena agni iva avrida. He says every action, Arjuna, is tainted by evil, just like when you light firewood, we light firewood for the light and the heat, but some smoke will come out of that. You don't light the firewood for the smoke. You light the, I hope. So, for the fire. In the same way, Krishna says, every action is tainted by evil. So that option is also not available. Can you see how God has trapped us in a corner? Each door you turn, it closes. You cannot do without karma, you can't stay. You can't do only good karma. So you are trapped here. You will wonder, why would God do that to us? Because He has kept one door open, He wants us to choose that. So He says, if I tell you, you don't take the right choice. So at least if I keep the door closed, you will go through the right door. There is one door alone He wants us to use. So let us think back here. God wants us to do karma, but at the same time, He does not want us to suffer the consequences. How is it possible? What is the evil in karma? The karma, the evil is the karmic consequences, the bondage that karma creates on you. Once you have done an action, that has to come back to you. That bondage is the mystery. See, you all know cobra. Back in India, everybody is worried about cobra. Why? Because the poison, right? Because if it bites you, it can kill you. But then, otherwise, the cobra from a distance looks beautiful, right? All that you need to do is pluck those poison fangs out of that. Cobra is now harmless. That's why you'll see snake charmers, even children, 2-year-old, they'll play with the cobra. It cannot bite anymore because the poison is, fangs are not there. In the same way, is it possible for you to take the poison fangs out of karma? Karma is bondage creating. Is there a way you can undo that? Krishna, in the second chapter of the Gita, Sankhya Yoga, Krishna first talked about Jnana Yoga and then he changes over to Karma Yoga in the 38th verse. 39th verse, sorry. He says, Esham te bihida sankhye buddhir yogi tvimam shrunu buddhyam yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. He says, Esha, he says, this discussion, Arjuna, te sankhye buddhi abhihidaha. So far, Arjuna, I have been talking to you from the perspective of a Jnana Yogi. Tu imam yogeshno. Now hear it the same from the perspective of a Karma Yogi. And he says, Buddhya yuktaha karma bandham prahas. If you can arm yourself with the attitude of a Karma Yogi, then karma bandham prahasati. You will be able to throw away the binding effect, the bondage creating effect of karma, if you can arm yourself with the attitude of a Karma Yogi. So that is the answer. If you can convert your karma to Karma Yoga, you don't have anything to worry about karma. You can do what you want, but no karma will bind you. How do you convert karma to Karma Yoga? Now, I'll just only mention this because it gets a little complicated. See, most people are in the Bhakti Marga. Can they convert karma to Karma Yoga? Yes, they can. Few people are in the Jnana Marga, they can also convert karma to Karma Yoga. Very few people are in the path of karma. There is a method of converting karma to Karma Yoga. First, let us tackle the karma to pure Karma Yoga. What is the mistake we do when you do karma? As human beings, we do all actions with desire-oriented, fruit-oriented, object-oriented action. When I prepare for an examination, I want to pass the examination, that's why I am preparing for the examination. Some people want to get good scores, they put in more effort to that. The problem with that is, when you do action with your desire in your mind, two problems happen. One, the karma becomes bondage creating on you. Number two is, suppose you put in a lot of effort for your examination. If you fail in that examination, it will upset you. If you get good scores, you get happy. So you are thrown between happiness and unhappiness. That is number one. The second problem is, if you think that examination is very important, you will put more effort into that work. If you think the examination is less important, you put less effort into that. Krishna says, that is not for you to decide. He says, look, I have this drama, what is called as life. I wrote the role for you. I gave you the role that you need to play. The script is mine, the dialogue is mine, you act the role well. That's all I need. Don't say that I want this, I want that. You, whatever comes across you, you do to the best of your ability. So, this will be again shocking to most people, that we are supposed to do action without looking for the fruits of action or giving up the fruits of the action. Nishkama karma, non-desire oriented action, or karma phala tyaga, giving up the fruits of the action. In the 4th chapter, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Krishna talks about it. In the 20th verse he says, Tyaktva karma phala sangham nityatrapto nirashrayaha karman nyabhipravarto abhi naiva kinchit karoti yaha. He says, Tyaktva, having given up. Karma phala sangham. Sangham is attachment. Karma phala is fruits of the action. Nityatraptaha, always contented. Nirashreha, not depending on somebody else. Karman abhipravartahavi naiva kinchit. Even though this person, with this mental attitude, even though he may be active from morning till evening, it is as if he did not do any action at all, because no karma can bind him. So number one is karma phala tyaga, giving up the fruits of the action, not doing job for the fruits of the action. That's very difficult for most of us, because we've been trained to do things looking for the fruits of the action. The second mistake we do about karma is the action itself. Most of you will say that, oh, I love to do this job. Then you will say, I hate to do this job. Swami said, that is not your concern. What comes across you as your work, take it as a duty and perform it as a duty. Never think that I like this work, I do not like this work. So this he talks about in the 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga, 19th verse he will say, Tasmad asaktas sadatam karyam karma samachara asatyo hyacharan karma paramapnoti purusha tasmad. Therefore, asakta sadatam karma kara. He says, totally detached, perform duty for duty's sake, without attaching to the action. So karma phala tyaga, giving up the fruits of action, not being attached to the karma. These both are very difficult for us. Even though very many times we do karmas, karma yoga without even realizing that. Take this example. Tomorrow your friend calls and says, look, day after tomorrow I need to catch a flight to go to India. Can you drop me in the airport? You say, yeah, there's no problem. And you are not expecting anybody to come and give you an award for that. You are not thinking in your mind that good merits are going to come back to you. I hope you are not thinking about that. Or you are not calculating that next month I have to go, so I will call him to come back and drop. So you are not even thinking about those things, I hope. If you do without thinking that you just drop him off and come back, that's a perfect karma yoga. Or you are going into a shop, an elderly gentleman comes behind you, you open the door for him, you are not expecting anything out of that. But that is perfect karma yoga. So we do karma yoga, but we are not oriented to that. Karma yoga is difficult for most of us. So we leave it at that. Let us take a Jnana Yogi. I'll quickly talk about this and go to the more important ones.
20 minutes.
20?
20.
Okay. Alright. So from the perspective of a Jnana Yogi, when I interact with you, Swami always says that the Atma, the life principle that we have, is a spark of God Himself. Because Jivatma is no different from Paramatma. So when I am interacting with you, if I can keep at the back of the mind always that I am, through you, I am interacting with God Himself, then the karmic consequences do not come back to me. That's why it states, Sarvajiva Namaskaram Keshavam Pratigachati. If I do obeisance to you, through you it goes to God. And Swami says the other way around also, Sarvajiva Tiraskaram Keshavam. If you hurt someone, that also goes to him. That's why they say Naraseva is Narayana Seva. Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. Jana Seva is Janardana Seva. That is, if you serve the poor people, that is serving God Himself. So this is one method. At the back of my mind, when I interact with you, I think that through you, I am interacting with Swami Himself. The second is, why go the indirect route? I consider you as God, Swami's representation, and treat you as Swami Himself. Because the truth is, as Swami says, you are all God, I am also God. I know that I am God, but you people do not realize that you are God. That's what Swami says, right? So when I interact with you, I should know that I am actually interacting with God Himself. The Atma is no different from Swami. This is again told in the 7th chapter of the Gita. He says, Sarva bhutastitam yomam bhajat egatvam astitaha vartamanobi. He says, Sarva bhutastitam yomam bhajat egatvam astitaha. He says, a person who is able to see me in all beings and treat them as God Himself. It's not only human beings, any living being. If you can treat them, then in this respect I should also tell you that it's not only hurting somebody. Hurt animals, hurt trees, hurt nature, that is hurting. So that will come back to us. So these are the two ways of converting karma to karma yoga through jnana pathis. One, considering you as sparks of divinity. When I interact with you, I believe that it goes to God. Or treat you people as God Himself. That is now come to Bhakti Yoga. That's what is most important for us. Easiest for us is through Bhakti. Very simple. We all do the Brahmarpanam prayer, right? I hope you are all doing Brahmarpanam prayer. So why do we do Brahmarpanam prayer? Because once we have done it properly, because many people they start with Brahmarpanam, Brahmahui, then it disappears after a few seconds. Now you have to chant the whole thing. Swami says, the food is not going to disappear if you take 20 seconds to chant the whole mantra. So he says, do it the right way. When you have chanted the mantra right way, Swami says that food has become prasad, what has been offered to God. All the impurities from that have disappeared. In the same way, Swami says, you can offer all your actions to me. If you have offered all your actions to me, the karmic effect is completely wiped out. Krishna talks about in the Gita, in the 9th chapter, where he talks about in the 27th verse, what does he say? Yat karoshe yadastasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yad yat tavasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Krishna says, Arjuna, yat karoshi, whatever you do, yad asnasi, whatever you eat, yajjuhoshi, whatever you pour as oblation into the sacred fire, dadasiyad, whatever charity you do, tapasyasi kaunteya, whatever austerities you do, tat kurushu madarpanam, offer it to me and then do, nothing is going to affect you after that. This is very simple. All that you need to do is offer all your thoughts, words and actions to God. To be practical, Swami is very considerate. He says, even though you are supposed to do it before starting an action, you say that I am offering. It's difficult, he says, I understand. But every day morning when you get up, sincerely from your heart, you say that, oh Lord, I am offering all thoughts, words and actions of today's to you. Again, when you go to bed at night, again say that, oh Lord, whatever I have done, my thoughts, words and actions, I offer it to you. Then those actions do not bind you. That is one method of karma yoga. I must mention one more thing here. See, many of us do not realize this very simple principle. Yet bhavam tad bhavati, Swami always says. Whatever you think, that's how things will happen. See, in a couple of, as I told you, I used to feel jealous of these devotees. Another thing I used to feel jealous is the older timers. If you hear like Gita Ram and everything giving talks, they say that the old timers, Swami used to allow them to do Pada Puja. Swami will keep his feet in the corner room on a plate, and you can do, that 108 names Archana directly to Swami's feet. So I used to feel very sad that now that chance is not going to come to us anymore after this. It is later on that Swami said that Yadbhavam Tadbhavari. You can get the same merit if you sitting at home, like I do. I got a pair of small padukas, metal padukas. So every day morning, you keep that paduka and do puja to that. Think that Swami is sitting there, it is Swami's feet that you are doing. You got the same merit as doing it directly to his feet, provided your mind is there. On the other hand, even if you truly get a chance to worship Swami's feet physically, if your mind is not there, it is fruitless. See, that's why when we do the Abhishek on the Swami's feet at home, we warm up the water. Because we think that you don't want to pour cold water early morning 4 o'clock on Swami's feet and wake him up, right? So, warm up the water, bring it to body temperature and then do the Abhishekam. It's up to you. If you think you don't believe in it, you don't have to do that. It's all what you feel what is right that you do. See, another thing what I do is, as you know, in US they've got a large diabetic population, and I got a lot of patients in a clinic with diabetes. So diabetes, we are supposed to check their feet. Every office visit we are supposed to check their feet, because one of the complications, most common complications for diabetics would be if they don't look out of the feet, they can lose their limb. Non-traumatic amputation of the leg, number one reason is uncontrolled diabetes and lesions in the feet. But many of the people who come, their feet, they don't keep them well at all. It can be very dirty, fungus infection, this thing, that thing, and all. Initially I used to have a little problem of some of the feet that I used to see. But later on I said that, hey my goodness, I have to touch their feet, check this, check that every day. Why not I think that it is Swami's feet? I get Pada Namaskaram free several times a day. So after that, you don't feel like that at all. See, in fact, bigger feet I see, this is Shruti Baba's feet. If you see, smaller one, Swami's feet is very soft, as you know. So in ladies' feet, you think, Durga, Saraswati or something. So you can change your attitude, then everything changes. So that's why Swami says, you must bring into your life some method of bringing God into everything. Tasmat kenapipagena Krishno mane niveshyet. Somehow or other you think of God. You make your own ways of doing that. So it is very powerful. So number one method to convert karma to karma yoga to bhakti is offer everything to God. Do not consider this is bad action, I will not offer to God. This is good action. God's perspective, Swami says there is no good or bad actions. So everything should be offered to God. That's number one. The second method what you can do is do work for God. Now you may wonder what is the difference between doing work to God and doing worshipping or giving up everything to God. There's big difference. Suppose you have got a factory and you employ me in that factory. Whatever I do in that factory is for your sake. It is your company, so I am working for you, right? This universe is owned by God. Everything that happens in this universe is for God. If I can think that whatever I do from morning till evening, I am doing for Him, that's another way of converting karma to karma yoga through bhakti. I hope I didn't confuse you. One, offering everything to God. Just like I offer flower at His feet, prasad at His feet, I offer all thoughts and actions to Him. All karmas are offered to Him. Second method, think that you are employed by God in this world for carrying out His functions. Every time you think that you are doing work for God, irrespective of what you do, because everything that happens in this universe belongs to Him, you belong to Him, everything that happens in this world belongs to Him. So think that all actions you are doing for His sake. Tat karma and tadartha karma. In the 12th chapter of the Gita, Bhakti Yoga, Krishna will talk about this. In the 10th verse he will say, Abhyase pyasamartosi mat karma paramobhava. Mat karma paramobhava. Do work for my sake and then it will not come to you. These two should be very, very easy if we want to do. One, every day morning and night, sincerely from the heart pray that, oh Swami, whatever I have done today, I offer it at your lotus feet. When you get up in the morning, you say, whatever I am going to do today, thoughts, words or action, I offer at your feet. That's very simple. If you can do that, we can wash off all karma from now onwards. But what happens to all our sanchita karma, the fate we are born with? Till we die, we have to still face that music, right? This is the most important question what you will have is, I have got some more years to live in this world, maybe 20, 30, 40 years. Can I make my life more comfortable if some bad things are going to happen to me, can I somehow manipulate it? From one perspective, I'll say is, fate is such that it will not allow you to escape even a single karma. It will not allow you to leave this body and go till you finish the last karma what is allotted to you. You will see a person who is 90 or 100 years old suffering from multiple problems. Heart failure, diabetes and complicated diabetes, amputation, tubes coming out the urethra and the back and IV running, and he cannot breathe because of COPD. He is gasping for breath. He will cry daily, Swami, when are you going to take me? But his death will not come. On the other hand, a 12 or 13-year-old is going on the roadside, he will be hit by a car and he will die. In the older man's case, his karmas are not finished yet. It will not allow him to leave that body and go till he accounts for the last karma till that moment. Even if he prays and prays and prays, unless God intervenes. So, in general, prarabdha karma or fate is not going to allow you to get off the hook. But there are ways of doing that. How? There are 5 ways of doing that. This is the secret. The secret is, number 1, you can resort to the planets, stars and devatas, the different demigods, and help you out. But remember, demigods, the stars and the planets, they do not have the power to write off your karmas, but they may ameliorate your karmas. Example, suppose you are imprisoned, again, this is an example. Suppose you are imprisoned in a jail. Suppose there is an attendant, let's say a guard in that jail. He knows you. He cannot take you out of the jail and send you home, but he can sneak in a cup of coffee maybe for you. He may bring some news from your family. You may sneak out a letter from you to your family. So he can help you out a little here and there. In the same way, stars, planets and the demigods may help you to alleviate your suffering. That's all they can do. Second is astrology. See, astrology is a very accurate science, provided there are 2 problems with that. One, the astrologer should be not only good, because there are like doctors, there are doctors and doctors and doctors. There are good ones, bad ones. In every field you will find that. So astrology also, remember, an astrologer, number 1, should be good. How can he be good? Not only he should know things, he should be pure. He should be spiritually pure, then whatever his predictions come is true. The second problem with astrology is a much bigger problem. See, astrology depends on the time of your birth. It is very, 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 very important that somebody recorded your time absolutely correctly to the second. Every second they make a difference, the whole thing changes. Why? Is because, imagine if 1 second they made a difference. Or 1 minute, let's say 1 minute. 1 minute they made a difference. 6 o'clock somebody was born, they put it as 6.1. Then 1 minute difference would have, the earth is rotating on its own axis at about 1,000 miles per hour. So 1 minute difference is already about 17-18 miles of difference they did in that. We also know that earth not only is rotating on its axis, it's going around the sun at a stupendous speed of 67,000 miles per hour. So by the time 1 minute mistake you do, the earth would have shifted in relation to the sun about 1,100 miles. In addition to that, we also know the whole solar system is going around our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, at a mind-boggling speed of 500,000 miles per hour. So in 1 minute, the whole solar system would have moved almost like 8,300 miles or more. So you see, each minute changes the whole planetary system. If you are trying to predict the planetary positions, looking at your time of birth, it is going to make a big mistake. So problem, that's why you will find that some of the predictions go wrong. Otherwise, it's an absolutely correct science. So these 2 things need to come. So astrology, how does it help? If somebody, you may say that, well, how is it going to help me? See, when you drive on the highway, you will find signs that are saying that sharp curve ahead, icy road ahead. We get like that in Ohio. Icy road ahead. Or it will say road repair next 10 miles. These signs do not repair the road, but it wants you to be careful. Imagine a highway where there are no signs. Imagine how many accidents more would have happened. So it wants you ahead of time to take preventive actions. The same way astrology can give you saying that, look, these number of years from 30 to 39, 30 to 30 is a very bad period. Be careful. So that time you can do more prayers or Ayusham or something like that, and so it warns you ahead of time. That is number 2. Number 3 is coming in contact with Divya Purushas. 5 minutes. Oh my God. Yes, time. Divya Purushas. If you are able to come in contact with divine personalities, which is very difficult, I can tell you. In fact, Adi Shankara himself, the Vivek Sudamani, he will say, Durlabham, Tremeradam, Devanugrahagaradam, Manushyattam, Mokshattam, Maha, Purita Samshya. He says, there are 3 things which are very difficult for a man to get. What are those? Human birth is very difficult. After getting human birth, to aspire for liberation is very, very difficult. Third most difficult thing is to get into the company of holy personalities. But Swami himself said, if you are able to get into the company of a true holy personality, see, Darshanam Pavanasanam, the very sight of a holy man kills off lot of sins from your life. Sambhashanam Sankata Vimodhanam. If you are able to talk to him, then it will remove a lot of your misery. Sparshanam Karma Vibodhanam. If you can touch their feet, lot of karmas will be washed off. But this is very difficult. The 4th is Namasmarana, which you are good. This is the answer to all your problems, which you will spend a lot of time today afternoon chanting the Lord's name. And the 5th is by praying to God. Namasmarana also takes that, but you can do pray to God other ways also. God alone has got the power to deal with your karmas. And there are different ways of he does that. We'll go into the details. Maybe in the question and answer session I will come to that. Number 1, he has the power to write off your karmas. But Swami himself says, I do that very, very, very rarely. And this is exactly what Swami said. Mother Nature is cooking in her kitchen very well. I do not like to enter her kitchen and interfere with her functions again and again and again. So he says, I usually do not do that. But he can, and I know of instances where he did. The second way he can is, he takes over himself and suffer for the sake of others. As he is doing even now, he has done throughout his life. He has the power to take over himself some true devotees. They do not worry. It's about true devotees who he takes over the suffering onto themselves and suffer. The third, the most common thing what he does is, he ameliorates your suffering. Suppose I am supposed to meet with a terrible car accident and supposed to be in coma for 10 days. The accident will happen, but it will go like a small scratch on my head. He can do that. He can completely reduce the impact of that. He does it in several different ways. There are 5 at least different ways. And as I said, probably we'll talk about it later. The last part is I told you, if you come into this world, you have already done the mistake. So, can we prevent not coming into the worlds again later on? For that, you have to completely wipe out your accumulated karmas. The mountain loads of Himalayas we have accumulated as karmas, that has to be completely wiped off. How can we do that? One of the simplest ways is chanting the Lord's name. I will come to that again. But remember only, I will take only 1 minute, okay? 2 minutes. Sorry, 3 minutes. No, just 3 minutes, I will finish that. I will accumulate bad karmas, I don't want that. So what was it? So, remember wisdom. See, we all say that Swami says, a person who acquires wisdom, or through Chana Marga, the wisdom dawns just like that. Swami says, on 1 second, you have wisdom, next moment you are a realized soul. How can that happen? Because wisdom once it comes, Swami says, as always Swami says, we are all actually God himself. Swami says, but you all feel like a human being. That is because you are thinking like that. You are made to think like that. Imagine a light. Light is burning, you put an earthen pot covering that light. There is complete darkness because you can't see anything at all. But light is still burning inside. To show that light, all that you need to do is just remove that. You remember the verse, the 34th verse in the 4th chapter of the Gita, Shruti Baba used to talk about it. Tadvidhi paripatena pariprasnena sevaya upadichanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshinaha. He says, you already have the wisdom of God, but you are deluded into thinking that you are a human being with all these problems. So, if the cataract can be removed, next moment you are a divine person. You know your truth about yourself. So, jnana is the answer for all these things where once you realize, then there is no problem. Again, Krishna will say, jnanagni dagdha karmani. Jnanagni, the fire of wisdom will burn off all your karmas in 1 second. So is it only for people in the Jnana Marga? What about people in the Karma Marga and Bhakti Marga? In the Bhakti Marga, Krishna says, I will light the light of wisdom. This is from the 8th chapter. 10th chapter. Machitta Madgada Prana Bodhagenda Parasparam Kadagandascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajadam Priti Purvagam Dadani Buddhiyogam Tam Yenamam Upayanti Te Tesham Evarukam Partham Aham Ajnanajam Tamaha Nashayam Atma Bhavasto Jnanadhivena Vaswada. He says, I will light the light of wisdom in my devotee's mind. So Bhakti Marga also will take you to Jnana. What about Karma? Karma also, Krishna says, Karma Marga ultimately will purify your mind in such a way that Jnanagni will come to you the same way. So all paths ultimately lead to the same goal. Irrespective of when I am coming to Miami, I took a plane, somebody else will come by a car. Somebody else may think of walking to this place. Only thing is they reach at different times here, but different routes ultimately, all roads, in olden days used to go to Rome, all roads now lead to Puttaparthi. Same is so, wherever you go there. Okay, SaiRam. Shanti, 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 Kayena Vacha, Manasendriyarva, Buddhyatmanava, Prakriti Swabhavat, Karori Yadyat, Sakalam Barasmi, Sa Ishwarayeti, Samarpayari, Etaksharavatadbrashtam, Mahatrahindu Yadbhaved, Tatsarvam Chimiram Deva, Narayanamustude, Visargabindu Mahatrani, Padaksharaani cha Nyunani Chatariptani Chamasya Saishwara Aparadachakastrani Kriyande Anijamaya Dasoham Iriman Matva Chamasya Saishwara. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.